feels like the draft. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. Draft, draft, draft. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. Draft beat, draft beat, draft beat, draft beat. It feels like the draft, 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 draft. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody watching live. That's exactly where I was going to go, Frankie. If you are here, you're clearly past Pat Riley's bedtime. Thank you for joining us on the last preview Draft Beat pod, because we got the live draft show tomorrow. But of course, as always, I got to start off by introducing everybody on the panel. And I'm going to go this way. Finally.
You got it. You got it.
For the first time ever, I'm going to shoot it over to Saucy Lou first, just because it worked out that way. And Lou, how you doing? Are you excited for the next 24 hours?
My goodness. Welcome. Every single Heat fan who thought we were going to trade the pick. Shit might still happen, but you have some catching up to do. We never know with this front office, but welcome to the live show, man. We're ready. I've been in the dungeon all day prepping, getting excited. Big board should be out tomorrow too, so it's going to be a good one.
Well, it better be out tomorrow because the draft is tomorrow, so we need that big board as soon as possible. That is Lou, as always. If it's Draft Beat, that means that my main man is here, my co-founder of Draft Beat, co-founder of Stream Beat podcast. That's right, Lou. You got him right there. Other way, it is Mr. Franky G. Frankie, hello.
I'm still hurt. Precious Achua over Tyrese Maxey, and that's 5 years ago. Let's see how they hurt me tomorrow.
Yeah. But you know what, Frankie? I do have something to cheer you up right now. I got two very special guests that are joining us for this live mock draft episode. He is right below me. He's all the way over in Europe, different time zones, joining us live. António Diaz, thank you so much for joining and being on the pod. We are excited to have you on Draft Beat and to get your perspective.
What's up, guys? Thank you for the invitation, and let's roll.
Yeah, can't wait. And we got one more introduction that we got to make before we get everything started. Lou, I want you to set this up because you were kind enough to actually put me onto this young man, David Lee, and phenomenal draft coverage. More of an Atlanta Hawks fan, so we're going to get a different perspective, but we like that here because we want the outside noise. Lou, introduce us to David Lee, please.
Man, David has been... we've been mocking on Xbox, on X, used to be known as Twitter, for a while. Great guy, great content, his TikTok stuff. I'm going to let him plug that. But, nonetheless, thank you for coming on, David. And go ahead and tell the people where they can find you.
Yes, please.
Of course, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Miami Heat Beat. It's a pleasure to be here. I go by Delete43, all platforms, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. I'm working on a website right now. So I unfortunately messed it up last night, so I'm trying to get it ready tonight. It has like the draft board, a bunch of analysis and stuff. So really hope I can share that with everyone before the draft. But yeah, so that I also do a podcast for the Hawks, in particular, the Hawks Film Room podcast. But again, happy to get to it.
Perfect. Well, thank you for joining us. Like I said, we are excited to have both of these guys because you've heard us all throughout the last 8 weeks now, breaking down all these players, telling you everybody we like for the Miami Heat. But we also are very stuck in our ways after all this time looking at it from just a Heat perspective. So we do need those outside eyes. Frankie, let's go ahead and get this mock draft started. If you don't mind, why don't you set up our little machine here, get everything going, and I will just let everybody know that we're going to do a little special order here. We're going to go David first, number 1 overall pick. Then we're going to go the Draft Beat team, which is comprised of obviously the top 3 guys here. But I'm going to let Frankie and Lou handle most of it until we get to the Miami Heat pick. And Antonio will be 3rd, and then we'll just keep going in that way. And we'll be going up to pick number 20.
All right. So we're using Fanspo. Shout out to them. Having this mock draft simulator, very easy to use. And we're using both of our guys here with their specialties. So without further ado, Mr. David Lee, as the Dallas Mavericks, who do you select?
Yeah, I think, even Nico wouldn't mess this up. It's Cooper Flag. So.
I was gonna put in the chat, do something crazy. Yeah, no, but listen, this is the most obvious pick of them all. I think if they spend the full 7 minutes, it's just to get all the ad dollars. This should be easy, right?
Right.
Draft beat at number 2, San Antonio is on the clock. Who are they taking?
I mean, I think again, this is another easy pick. Some controversy if it's going to go to the Spurs or not, but it's going to be Dylan Harper. It's pretty clear, pretty obvious. I think in the moment, that's where the consensus has been for most of the year. 1 and 2 is Cooper and Dylan. So, San Antonio gets.
The special draft beat sounder. That means the pick is in. Excellent. Listen, I agree with this. I also think it's a perfect building block alongside Victor Wembanyama. They are loading up in ways that is going to be scary just a year or two from now. With the number 3 pick, the pick that I am really bracing myself for, because I think this is when I'm going to just lose my mind on draft night. I'm curious to see what Antonio is going to do for Philly at number 3.
I am really sorry, Moose, but it's VJ Edgecombe.
Oh God, it's okay. I know this is gonna happen. If you've been following Draft Beat, you know that I have 2 man crushes this year. This one being the first one. I've been following him for 2 years now. He just is a culture setter. And Philly, I hate you. I don't even have a transition. Number 4. Where are we going? David, number 4.
I think with Charlotte, they need some stability. I like what you said about VJ, though. He is that type of culture setting guy. So I would prefer him for Charlotte, honestly. But I think Con Knipple would be my pick. I think he's a pretty safe prospect, but I also think he has one of the least discussed ceilings in the class. Dribble, pass, shoot, top 3 shooter, very strong self-creator. I think he'll be great for them.
Before we move off this pick, 4 is an interesting spot because we know that there's going to be a lot of chatter for trades there. And it seems like there's going to be some teams jockeying to move up possibly. How confident are you that it will be Charlotte at 4 making that pick? Or do you think they are leaning towards trying to get someone to bite and move back?
Yeah, I think if anyone would trade back, it probably would be Charlotte in the top 5. But I also feel like the incentive to trade up is just not very strong in this class. There's a pretty flat, I guess, set of prospects once you get past 3, at least in my opinion. Yeah, so I don't really see a lot of teams giving up capital to get in the top 5. I think you'll see more movement in 7 to 12 maybe. But yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the next pick, number 5. And this is interesting because here we know somebody that's going to be in the room help make the decisions in Mr. Dwayne Wade. So Draft Beat guys, where do we think Dwayne Wade is going to go at number 5? You know where I think he's going to go.
I'll let you take it, Frankie. I'm between 2 guys. Realistically, for me, it's going to be between Trey and Fears for them. Yeah. So, I'll let Frankie make the choice.
Yeah, I think this could go either way with those 2. It wouldn't surprise me either decision. I think the more likely pick, just off some of the noise, is Fears right now. So, are you comfortable with that?
I'm not, but sure. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't see Dwayne. If Dwayne is really involved in this decision in any way, I don't see him not falling in love with a Jeremiah Fears, especially that personality and play type. So you have my vote on that one. Yeah. And I'll be rooting for you, kid. It's so sad. He's going 5.
Antonio with the 6th pick.
Okay, so the Wizards, they just traded Jordan Poole, so they probably need a guy to just get all the shots and chuck them. I'm torn between going with the partner for Alex Sarr with Derek Quinn, but I'm going with Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey.
We were wondering how far he would drop.
Yeah.
I like it. I could see the connection there, and that might be there's a lot of smoke that's the team that made the promise for him.
Before we move off this pick, just because Ace Bailey is such a polarizing prospect, I am curious how our outside guests feel about him. David, what are your thoughts on Ace Bailey? Where do you think his floor is in this draft? And where do you think he would have gone if he had just followed the regular process?
Yeah, I think honestly, I think he has one of the biggest, widest range of outcomes, just because so much about it. Like, he has all the requisite stuff. He has the physical tools. He has the shot making, even if it is inconsistent. And I think what I would be concerned about as a team is, okay, how willing is he to do the right type of reps to learn how to play basketball in a system? Because I mean, I watched him play at McEachern in high school, and he played the exact same way at Rutgers. And every indication is that he wants to play that same way, in the NBA. And I think that it kind of would worry me, just because I haven't seen him in a different context, and it seems like he's not as open to, learning the ropes in the NBA as much as I expected. But I mean, I understand with the size, the frame, the tools, it makes sense. But he's someone that I think is really risky. But if he does hit, then we're talking about a very high range or a very high outcome. So.
Yeah, I can do some exclusive reporting here, and I don't want this to get caught on ESPN or go across the scroll and ticker on the ticker there. But Ace Bailey is someone to watch that he thinks he's already a superstar, and that's a little bit tricky when you're coming in as a rookie like that. Like, confidence is one thing. We love a confident rookie, but if you're coming in thinking already I'm going to be the guy from day one, it's a slippery slope. If you want a little bit more on that, you should check out the Reebok Shaq thing on Netflix. Interesting that they made a run for him, and he didn't come off looking very good. And I didn't think about it much at the time, but now with all the reports coming out, seems to be a constant theme. So we'll see where Ace Bailey ends up, but that brings us to our next pick. Frankie, where do you think we're going to be going with, who's on the
New
clock?
Orleans.
New Orleans. Thank you.
It's David. It's David. With
Dave, where are you going with New Orleans? Come on, everyone wants to know. This is the hottest team in the league.
Yeah, before they got Jordan Poole, I would have probably looked at your guy Jeremiah Fears. He's off the board though, right? Isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah, he went 5.
Yeah. So, I think honestly, I think Malawach makes sense for them. I feel like, if you have that bet on Poole to be one of your primary ball handlers, you have a deep wing room. You need a rim protector to go with Zion, because although he's strong on the weak side, you can have some lapses off the ball. I think Malawach makes sense for them, so I would take him.
I love that pick for them, especially with the upside play of him alongside Zion.
48 minutes of Malawach and Misi is terrorizing.
Yeah,
It should be. So.
No, and this is with the next pick, the Nets, who acquired some more picks right before we started. I think this is the Fears floor. If it's not
100%.
Fears, I
Totally
think
agree.
we agree there, Lou and Moose.
Yes.
So, Lou, do you think it's Trey Johnson here?
Yes, I think the only other guy that should be in convo, or that probably will be in convo, is probably Derek Queen. They've been reporting a lot about the Claxton, and the whole Noah Clowney stuff hasn't worked out. Shocker, I guess. Not if you followed us, but still, it's between those two. I'm leaning Trey Johnson just because BPA.
I agree.
My BPA first.
I agree. And
I did like the idea of Derek Queen, though. I agree with the selection for Brooklyn, but I had not considered Derek Queen for them in that spot.
They got 5 first-round picks. They can take a lot of shots here. Antonio, for the Toronto Raptors, who are you liking here?
Yeah, it's Derek Quinn, plain and simple. They can get off the contract of Poltel as well. Get Derek Quinn some more repetition, so that's a pick, and I think it's a pretty good one.
I like Queen a lot. I think he's got a great upside if he gets it all together, and I think that fit works well to help his weaknesses out with all that range and all those wings, those wings that are D and no threes.
And we know that Phoenix is desperately looking for a big. My question is, and I agree with Derek Queen absolutely being the pick there. I love his upside, but I really wonder how scouts are going to be viewing Queen versus Sorber, because once you get to this part here, for me, it's a toss-up in terms of just which flavor you like.
Yep.
100%. All right, David, with the Suns.
Yeah, I think for Phoenix, I've seen some people link Fears there, not Fears, Richardson. I don't really think that'd be the best outcome for him, or what they should really be focused on.
I agree.
Another shooting guard.
Yeah, I think defense should be their number one priority, setting a defensive infrastructure they can build around. And so with that in mind, I think Colin Murray Boyles, I think he was mocked to them in ESPN today, makes a lot of sense. Now that would hurt me a lot because I really want him on the Hawks, and he's one of my favorite prospects in the draft. But I can't pass on that for Phoenix in particular. And I don't know if they're going to be shrewd enough to make that decision. It's more likely they go with like Richardson, to be honest. But I think he could make a really big impact for that Suns team and long term too. Like not just in his rookie season, but I love him as a prospect.
I've heard some people speculate this is a good Igor spot, just somebody to with size that can spread the ball around, isn't looking to take too many shots from all those shooting guards. So, but I do agree that there's been so much smoke about them looking for a big and for the help on the inside that I could definitely see Colin going there.
Yeah, and then we're up here at 11 with the Portland.
Joe Cronin is on the board. Let's give him something bad.
Somebody bad. Ironically, they just traded for Drew Holiday, so that happened also yesterday in the last 24 hours. Personally, Frankie, I think they've been leaning defense. I think this should not change here. They're trying to build an identity. Personally, I think they're probably going to go. I'd lean Carter Bryant if I'm being honest.
That's where I would go if I was them.
Ooh, I think I wouldn't be surprised if they go Carter. I think Kasparis is on the table as well, just because they just traded their best shooter, and they were bottom 5, I believe, in shooting. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're looking for some playmaking and scoring as well.
Then Jace is the guy. If that's what they're looking for, then Jace Richardson is staring you in the face right there, especially after trading Simmons.
I mean, I'm up to you, Lou. Final say.
I'm gonna give them Carter Bryant. I think I like the Kasparis ordeal with them there because they do like the shooting, but I do think this is gonna be a year that they're really gonna just rely on Scoot to take that final leap or see what he fully has.
Got you. All right, number 12, Chicago Bulls. Antonio, who we picking?
Yeah, they're going with Kasparis Giacchionis, staying with the guy from Illinois. So it gives them someone next to Giddey who can take those shots and next to Kobe White as well. More of a skilled playmaker than Kobe White, probably more of a shooter than Giddey. So creates there a bit of a balance for them.
Best of both worlds.
Kasparis Jablanka is going to love Chicago. That is an excellent
addition. I think what's funny about
shout out Jablanka.
Yeah, shout out John Jablanka. What's funny about Kasparis going there is he is also Lithuanian, just like Buzelis last year, and like their front office, like the guy who's calling the shots there. So I think
wow,
they're just
I actually love the pick for them now. That's a nice one.
The Lithuanian national team of Chicago.
David, with your Atlanta Hawks.
I know you mentioned Sorber earlier, and you said that you kind of view him and Queen as similar to your prospects. Personally, I view Sorber, I think 2 tiers above Queen, and I think I just really believe in the defense. Outside of Ryan Kalkbrenner, there was not a single big in this class that owned the paint on both ends to the extent that Sorber did. I love the wingspan. I love the defensive metrics when he was on the floor. I think he has great mobility at 260 pounds. He is my pick for the Hawks at 13.
Oh,
I think if he falls past Chicago, like there are a couple teams that could take him before then, but I think with the Hawks getting Kristaps Porzingis, they still need to get a big who they can bring along as that like compliment next to Onyeka, because I don't think Porzingis is going to be here long term. So yeah, he'd be my pick.
I like it. I love
the pick.
The draft beat favorite for sure. He's somebody we're really high on.
Love the pick, and I did not even think of him being a possibility for Atlanta. So that's why we have you here, because that was a different perspective. I never would have thought that was a spot for him, and now I'm really worried. I'm thrown off my next pick, draft beat.
I'm also really glad Sorber's not going to OKC, because I feel like they will let him slide past them.
True.
It'd be awful. With the Spurs pick, Frankie, I'm a defer to you here. I think for me personally, it's going to be one of the proven commodities at wing, whether that's Coward, Fleming, maybe even somebody like Neek maybe gets a look here. But I'll defer to you just because I do think they went Harper earlier.
I think Asenge is also on the table here.
True.
The French Connection. I think there's a lot of ways they could go here. As you've stated, I'm gonna go Fleming. I think the size is gonna be tantalizing. The shooting ability, the defensive tools, all the stocks we've talked about ad nauseum. That combination with Wemby is scary.
Yeah. I love Fleming.
I really think that the Spurs are in such a great spot. Needless to say, I mean, obviously they have the number 2 pick, but I think with their second pick as well, somebody is going to slide to them that we don't expect. And they're just going to keep cleaning up every single year. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Antonio, speaking of cleaning up, now we have the reigning NBA champions using the Miami Heat's 15th pick. Who will you be selecting for Sam Presti and them boys?
Okay, so I'm a bit I'm between Jace Richardson because he's the highest on my board, or Cedric Coward because they can add some wing power as well. I'm going with Cedric Coward. More defense to them because they obviously need more. And they're gonna lose some guys in the near future because they can't keep everyone. And Coward on a rookie deal is pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm totally with you on that pick.
And just reported yesterday, after literally as soon as they won the championship, or yesterday, the day after they won the championship, like the Thunder are one of the teams that are looking to package some of their trades and move up. Like they have too many players on their roster if they make all their picks. So this is a team that might pick somebody. You know, you were talking about David, the draft kind of being flat between 7 through 12, and you might see some movement. This is a team that might move into that range to handpick somebody. So, in my opinion,
curious who they would be targeting if they move up.
I don't know, but I do think like Toronto might be a team that might want to move back. If I had to think of one, you don't really know. Like I don't think they'll move up with the Hawks pick because it's just 2 picks ahead. But like even somebody at 10, 11, like the
it might help Phoenix. It might help Phoenix.
Yeah, it might help.
Get some flexibility there.
Exactly.
I can see them loving Colin Murray Boyles too. I think Colin Murray Boyles would be the consummate Thunder player, and they really need some size, and they need some connective passing too. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I definitely think they need a little bit more offensive juice. I love the Cedric Coward pick, just a guy who doesn't hurt their defense, and they can throw out there who can be a little bit of a movement shooter and bring another dimension to them.
Feels like a Thunder rotation player.
It just feels like that, especially because there is talks that they might move Isaiah Joe and use his salary to acquire somebody else. All right, David, the newly acquired pick for the Memphis Grizzlies in the Desmond Bane trade, the 16th pick. Who you got?
Yeah, I think Memphis needs some wing depth pretty badly, but they also were 28th in 3-point shot creation, and they traded away Desmond Bane, who carried a lot of that load. And they're a team that plays very fast, but very connective style of basketball. Like they get off the ball quick. They need 0.5 decision makers. And so even though I feel like that wing depth is a big area of need, I think Jace Richardson is probably who I would take. And I think part of it is like there is some Ja Morant concern with like, can they play together? But I think it's like you just can't really pass on that amount of 3-point shot creation and ability because they just don't have any on the roster right now. At this point, like I think there are some wings that I consider too, but I think I'll go with Jace.
I like it. I like it a lot, especially since Ja has been known to miss time. He can step in and slide in at the 1 and work on his playmaking at the time. But I think he's definitely a guy you could play with or without Ja, excuse me.
Yeah, David, you're really good at this. I'm pissed off right now. Thank you for joining DraftBeat for your first and probably last visit here. You keep taking all my time. But
all love.
all love, because I agree with every pick you've made, and it's I'm out on our pick. We can trade it now. You guys go. DraftBeat, go.
Who do you like here for the Minnesota Timberwolves?
I mean, ideally, I think the Timberwolves are in a win now spot with their pick. Nickeil Alexander-Walker might be leaving. I'm personally leaning for them, maybe like a Nick Clifford, Franky, maybe. I guess like they look at Yegor just because he does provide some playmaking that they need aside from like really like they don't really have a playmaker in general. Like a lot of that falls on Julius and some on Conley and Ant, but I'm between those two guys, probably Clifford or Yegor.
I agree. I also think Asa as well, because it looks like the Gobert's salary might be used to move, and Randall's on an expiring, so they could. It doesn't seem like they're fans of Leonard Miller, so I could see them getting somebody else. Asenge is also on the table. I say Yegor. I say Yegor. I think the playmaking with Conley, his age, I think that makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I would just like to throw out there that I think Danny Wolf should have been in consideration. A little bit upset
I
that
agree.
he was not mentioned.
Wolf for the Wolves. That makes
especially
too much
if
sense.
Naz Reid leaves, especially.
Antonio with the Washington Wizards, the 18th selection.
Okay, so I'm picking again for the Wizards.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
You had Ace
Yeah.
last time, and you got the last pick here for the 18th selection.
Yeah, I'm not with Ace. I'm not going with Asenge because I think it's too many long guys.
Redundant. Yeah.
Who can really shoot the ball that much. I'm probably going with Nolan Traore.
Ooh, okay.
This
Wow.
fucking hurts.
Can give them
Yeah.
some
like
on ball reps, some paint attacks. So why not?
That hurts.
Oh, it hurts me as well.
It makes sense, because I think Bub can slide to the 2 as well, and Traore can play off the bench to start, and once he's ready, he has a lot of tools. I got to remember that Washington comes from the OKC. The new guys in charge of Washington is from the OKC staff, so they're gonna think alike like that, and most likely. And I think that's such a early OKC pick.
Yep.
Well, our guests are killing it, so I just want to say that next year's mock draft episode will be just us three.
So we can get the guys.
Yeah.
Liam McNeely would have been off the board right now.
Real quick before David, before you go, guys in the chat, please continue asking your questions. I'm starring them all so we can get to them after, so you can ask these guys, these draft experts or ourselves as well. Any questions, we'll get to it at the end. Please, Anthony Manzano, I see you, brother. He's throwing so many questions. David, with the Brooklyn Nets selection, they've already selected Trey Johnson. And they have another 3 more first-round picks after this one. Who you got?
So Antonio mentioned Asenge and considered him a little bit, but some of the overlap with Ace. I think I would take him for Brooklyn. There are a couple wings at this point in the draft that I feel like they're rough around the edges, but they could be stars. And I think Noah's one of the better star swings, but another guy who I didn't end up taking, but I do want to mention, Adu Thiero is another guy that I feel like, with the touch indicators around the rim, the explosiveness, the handle, he's someone that I also would really love for Brooklyn to get. But I think you can't pass on Noah at 19.
I think Adu at later in the first is so realistic for them as well. I love Adu, so his profile so much.
But I love that swing there for the Nets with that pick, especially if you have 5 picks. Like, yes, every time you're up there, go for the most potential you can. You might as well.
I agree. And we've been here. All right. So we are at the mighty Miami Heat with the 20th selection so far. We've seen a lot of guys that we talked about on DraftBeat here. These first 6 guys
off the board. Thanks, guys.
These first 6 guys, Boogie Flan doesn't count, and Walter Clayton right here as well. Lou, let's get into this. We've heard a lot of noise about Walter Clayton. The chat is asking what makes Clayton a reach for the Heat at 20, if you think it's a reach at this point.
I personally do a little bit, if I'm being honest. The tier's kind of flat. There is a couple guys to me that are still like a tier above where this is a good value right here for them. But when it comes down to like Walter Clayton, my biggest concern, aside from like the size concerns and the defensive concerns, because there are certain games where he is just not engaged defensively. He's like, honestly, he's nowhere to be found. And we already have a guard who does that. Cough, cough, Tyler Hero. Putting 2 of those guys together, I don't think it formulates into winning basketball. One last point on Walter Clayton. we've seen this archetype of player get traded like 7 times already this offseason. We saw it with Anthony Simons. Desmond Bain is not this kind of archetype, but like we keep seeing these trades. CJ McCollum, Jordan Poole, like, score first guards who aren't really the best defenders, like not the best passers. Like, what else can they provide? But they can shoot really well. There is value for them around the league at the same time, but just personally, the finishing concerns, the defense, everybody likes to say like he's really athletic because he jumped 37 inches. Guys, Jaime Hawk has jumped 38 inches and was a high school dunk champion. Like, I don't care about their athleticism if it doesn't translate to basketball, is my point. And that's just a concern that I have with Clayton. I hope he's not the pick tomorrow, but it's I don't know, guys. It's looking very likely.
Wait, so Luke, could I give you just play a little bit of a devil's advocate?
Absolutely. That's what we got.
I think that Walter is a little distinctly different from like a Tyler Hero, because the way he played at Florida, a lot of it was running off handoffs, off ball screens. He is as good of a shooter that Hero is off the dribble or like with one dribble. Like, Walter Clayton is legit movement. Like, he is his core control, the way he's able to align his body. I think that maybe not for Miami in particular, but I personally have him like in that 15 to 20-ish range because I think his shooting is that good. And I think he's competitive enough and athletic enough that you will see like a Peyton Pritchard, Fred VanVleet type of guy. So I think he's a little bit distinct from those guys you mentioned, but I understand why you're traumatized by those guys. So I don't blame you at all. Okay. I get it 100%.
So David, I'm glad you chimed in because I did want to ask you, as a Hawks fan, which is the player you least want to see in the play-in tournament next year versus Miami?
I don't even want to see y'all. Like, it's a nightmare. It's always stressful, but I mean, I feel like Jaime Jaquez will probably.
Well, trust me, we were rooting for you guys this year, so it was a nightmare for us too.
If you guys would have just won that game, Cooper Flag would be in Miami.
We're all behind you here.
But David, who do you think here is the best selection in your opinion of the guys that's available for Miami?
Yeah. So I think the Heat culture stuff is kind of lame, but y'all have a great developmental track record, right? You take guys who are raw, you press the absolute potential out of them. And I think I would have to take I think a dude would be like front of mind for me. And I know people have like thrown Jimmy Butler comps out. That's a very outlier development, but like I would want to look at a Dude Thiero. I would look at Drake Powell. I might even look at Will Riley. And I just think like when I look at that Miami Heat roster, I mean, I'm a little bit lower on Hero. I think Bam is someone that you can continue to build around. And I think he's pretty portable in terms of who you take. But I would like a guy who's pretty athletic, isn't a negative defensively, and gives me at least some semblance of shot creation. I think all three of those guys, and so, to some extent, do that. So that's who I would look at personally.
Okay. Antonio, you're the guy overseas. You've seen these guys a lot closer, the Ben Serafs.
That's what I want to hear more on.
Yeah, I would love to hear your opinion on Seraf, Hugo Gonzalez as well. I know you're high on him.
Yeah, I'm probably the highest on Gonzalez as well. I mean, Seraf is the kind of guard that I don't think the Heat need to take. I think the Heat need rim pressure. You saw that difference when Davion Mitchell came in. He was like so much different than everyone else. So if they have Nolan at that spot, I think Nolan is probably better than Seraf. Seraf is probably more crafty, probably a better passer than Nolan. It's the same tier, but Seraf can do some different stuff. But he's more of a pull-up guy, so I don't think that the Heat probably need that. I would take Gonzalez as well. I heard Lou last week mention him. I talked with him about Gonzalez. He's been like the premier European prospect of his generation in Europe for the last 3 years, something like that. He's been the MVP of the Adidas Next Generation tournament. He's been good with Spain, with Real Madrid. He just had a season where he was the reserve for Zanan Musa was with Brooklyn. For António was with the Knicks and Orlando. So it's not easy for an 18-year-old to play in Real Madrid. Like Luka did it, but Luka is a special kind of player. Yeah.
Right.
So Gonzalez will give you give you like the two-way wing player you probably need. He doesn't need the ball too much. He can attack off the catch. He did some on-ball stuff last season, and it was probably his worst season because he was doing so much on-ball stuff. Right now he's doing like much more of the catches. He finished like 60% at the rim this year. So even that for a wing at the Spanish league, and
is 20 a reach for him though? And I'm genuinely asking because I've seen him all over the back end of the first round, so I'm not really sure what is a realistic range for him.
Yeah, the Heat could trade back. Have they ever traded back for like they see a guy and they take him? But I have Gonzalez on my board like 13th. I know I'm really high on him.
I brought your board here so you could see,
thank you.
Compare it.
I'm probably really high on him, but yeah, that would be my guy if I'm talking international guy. If we have like a guy like Chase Richardson right there, just take him.
I'm curious because you said Hugo and Nick Clifford is still on the board, and he's in that similar tier. Are you just taking the upside swing?
Maybe because it's the 20th pick. Like I know that he.
I don't mind.
We're taking the upside.
Yeah. I know that he'd like to say that they're contending and they're searching for something, and like Clifford is the more ready player to play right now. But in terms of upside, I don't see like they're in the same tier for me. So probably Nick is more. He probably has a better potential as a non-ball guy.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gonzalez defense is better than Nick.
Okay.
Yep. I'm curious though. I want to ask Antonio this because when it comes to the international prospects in this class, a lot of them are like low minutes, low usage, and I feel like I was not very intrigued by Hugo until I went and watched him in the ANGT or the season before. And I know Real Madrid is like a really good team, and it seems like a lot of these guys are being minimized by those teams. So like when you look at players like that, like how do you project them to the NBA when they're like NBA season is like so sparse with like data points?
I mean, most of those guys are already going to college. Like Diego Damin, every European guy is going to college right now. So Gonzalez was an outlier this year. I knew if he stayed in Real Madrid, he would not get that many minutes. So I'm basing what I've seen in the last 2-3 years to project what they can be. Because with for example, with Damin in the Real Madrid roster, he was more of an off-the-catch guy, which is going to be in the NBA. Damin more with the ball, and also Jan Vide, who's playing in college as well. They were the handlers. Gonzalez more off the ball. Then with Spain, they didn't have a point guard, so Gonzalez took that job. So you kind of see what we can look like in big tournaments. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay, so go ahead, Lou.
No, I was just to like really quickly add to Antonio's point. The more I got into the later wings, the Thieros, the Gonzalez, I liked them more than the wings that we were originally talking about, man. Like both of these guys bring something different. Gonzalez is actually 20th on my big board, so this is like perfect value. I would be more than comfortable taking him just in general. But to Antonio's point, the pre-Madrid season was like the FIBA U18s. Oh my goodness. Like he was everywhere. He was doing everything defensively around the rim, creating his own shot. He played against Lithuania with Jakučionis, who went earlier in this draft, and he was by far the better player on the floor. Like he demanded attention everywhere he was, and it was truly to David's point, like him playing so sparsely in Madrid might have just covered up this gem that could have been there if he would have gone and came over like Jakučionis did from obviously Jakučionis came from Barcelona, but if he would have came over and played in regular college basketball, this guy might be a lottery pick. Like the only reason I have him 20 is because I'm holding a bit of a we got to take into consideration what he did or didn't do this year.
Yeah, what
But-
you don't know, right?
Exactly. But
yeah, and
he's great, man.
Yeah, to add to that, he was the MVP at the AMZT in 2024 that had Yakuchonis, Essenge, Traore, everyone basically. Every European guy was there and he was the MVP. So that's something.
Yeah.
I would like it. Like I mean, I think the Heat I think that if the Heat are honest with themselves, they have to say that the draft is probably the most realistic shot that they have to get a star. Finding some guys on value contracts that pops, and like David mentioned before, like their development has been superb over the last decade or so, and they should apply that strength. Their strength isn't winning trades; it's developing guys, finding value in the draft, and using those guys to get better. Whether it's on the court or off the court or in transactions, they need a steady amount of those guys. And right now the cupboard is bare. There's a lot more question marks in the draft prospects because a lot of those guys are still on those early in their rookie contracts, like where Nico is due for an extension. Jaime had a disappointing sophomore year. So I know the rumors are Walter Clayton. Let's talk about Clayton a little bit because I think we did go over our draft, but Chad is wondering if this is like, are we upset about this? Or is this on the right tier? Is this a reach? I think this is he's a good player. I don't think it's a bad player at all.
I agree.
And I was going to make the point on Walter Clayton. I think he is a first rounder. I think he is the quintessential Heat guy. Like fans would love him. But the last time we said that, it was about Jaime Jaquez. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It's just when we say we know what a Heat guy is, it's like we know that they're tough, they're gritty, we're going to get everything out of them, but that means that there's still a lot there that they're never going to hit or that was lacking, that they were making up for. And I'm tired of making up for shit. I want the star.
Yep.
So that's my issue with Walter Clayton Jr. Like, if this was our second first-round pick, I would be all aboard for Walter Clayton Jr., but we are walking out of here with one guy.
Hopefully not.
And, well, yeah, maybe we don't. Maybe we don't even walk away.
I hope they trade back, man. I know that's not something that's in their arsenal, but we talked about the Nets having like 17 picks. They just got more today with the 22nd. So I think they have 22, 26, 27.
Yeah.
If you can somehow get one of those picks or maybe a combination of them and bring a player, attach a player to them, man, I would be heavily looking at it because to Moose's point that he was just making about the team in general, guys, like the Heat are not, there is such a low probability. If this player sucks, the Heat are still going to suck, right? If this player hits rookie year, guess what? We're probably still going to suck. Like we are not. So my thing is I would rather take somebody who can raise the ceiling than somebody who can raise the floor. And, to the Heat's credit, I will give them credit. Their draft process has been that they took Kalel last year, who I was a little bit lower on, but he was a ceiling raiser. We can see that. Nico a couple years ago, they did Precious, whatever, that didn't work out. But their recent, even Bam, in 2017 when we took him, like he was projected a 20s guy, and we took him at 14. So their track record is they really, really value, I guess, ceiling a little bit over floor. And if that's the case, I don't see why you would change it now when your team is in dire need of a star. So whoever you think you can extrapolate the most, upside value, even if they will not be in the league for a second contract, I think that's better off than you getting a sixth man or a seventh man in your rotation. Personally,
I do want to go to our guest right here because I do have a question, and chat is also asking similar things. We'll start with David. Is there any guys that we have selected in this mock draft that is in your opinion realistic to fall to 20 that you think would be a better selection? You can name multiple guys as well.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Rasheed honestly might fall because the one thing that I feel about him, he is such a great shooter from a standstill. And you saw this with Obi Toppin in Game 7. He could not put the ball on the floor, and that's why he turned the ball over so much. He didn't have Halliburton to orchestrate. And Rasheed Fleming, as explosive as he is, as good of a shooter is, I'm worried about that shot translating. So I think he might fall a little bit. I kind of feel like Derek might, if certain teams don't take him, like I think if he gets past 11 or 12, then he might slide a little bit. I think Traore will probably be there at 20. I think Asengwe will go earlier, but I think this is like, we probably have like 15 or the 16 guys that will go in the first 20 picks. I would feel like right here.
David, I agree with you that I want Antonio's perspective as well, but this is why we do the mock draft, because we've been trying to prepare the fans that, like, yes, all of these guys that we really could see fitting for the Heat, we're in a really dangerous spot at 20. You're at the mercy of just who's in front of you. That's, who's going to fall. Antonio, of these guys, let's say, 8 through 19, who do you think is the most realistic that could still be there at 20 for us?
I don't know if Jace is there, just because the measurements weren't great in the draft. So some teams take that seriously. Yegor could probably fall a bit as well, because he's so polarizing. I don't know if the Heat should take him, because he needs time to adjust to the NBA. He needs the ball. And I don't know. I mean, I've been waiting for 3 years or 4 for them to give the ball to Jovic. So I don't know.
I was about to say.
You're gonna give it to. Yeah. But those are my main guys. Yeah. I agree with Rasheer Fleming as well. With David.
Yeah, I think Rasheer also I like him to San Antonio just because they have so many guards and playmaking that they have that luxury to take a swing on that kind of guy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I also have those concerns just as a self-creator on the perimeter. You see in the playoffs where it's not just even though you're not creating plays often, you do have to attack a closeout often and make decisions at that level. And I have questions about Rasheer doing that. So I definitely think that's a possibility. I mean, we all DraftBeat loves Jace, so I think we'd be
clearly
there.
You saw me crash out when he was selected. Just to play devil's advocate here for a second, Frankie, if you don't mind moving back up for a bit,
Of course.
we still have Asa Newell, the 14th overall prospect, according to Fanspo, on the board here. How realistic do we think that he will be sliding down to 20? And do you think that that's somebody that, if he's there at 20, just BPA, the Heat should pounce on?
I mean, I'll start this. If this was my pick and I just got a chance to make it, I would make Asa Newell the selection. He's the highest player on my current board as of now. He's 13th. So this to me, and I get the concerns with him, but again, we're shooting for upside, and the touch around the rim, his size to be kind of a tweener fits perfect next to Bam, because he doesn't really need to be a 5 full time. And even with Kalel, if they can both get their shooting to a certain level, he can play some of these minutes and still play alongside Nico, just due to their Nico's versatility and stuff of that, and Bam's versatility. He does come with some concerns, absolutely, but just in terms of swing, touch, if you go back to his Montverde tape when he was playing with Cooper, his defense was serious. His defense was and he didn't really showcase that in Georgia. So I do think we have, to a sense, a system that can encapsulate him a little bit, and hide some of his flaws and some of his weaknesses. But he, to me, is the best offensive rebounder in the draft. And we know that the Heat are not very good at making shots. So by nature, it's a value position for us. We taking him would, just help get the games out of the mud, because he's that kind of player, which is kind of what Miami looks for. And 5-star guy, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty decently high on him. He's probably somebody I would heavily consider with this pick right here. But I would be shocked if he was there at 20.
I would be too. Antonio, what do you think about Asa?
I actually watched him in the World Cup, under 19 World Cup, I think 2 years ago. It was pretty good. The defense, you could see it there. He was flying around the court, just doing everything. I think he was like a reserve for the US. He wasn't even the starter. I would pick Asa Newell. I just don't know what do you do with Bam, Newell, and where, because
that's my
you're gonna keep the 3. You're not gonna give that much time to Newell or to Ware.
Mhm.
I would love to see Newell and Bam defend, but I don't know if it makes sense. I would probably go with Miami, like swinging for the fences with some guy and risking like risk your pick. Like why not?
Yeah.
David, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably in the minority here, but I'm not a big Asa Newell fan. I think I don't buy the shot, and like when you look at his high school numbers too, like he's never really shot it on volume or consistency. And maybe this is the games that I just watched in full. At UGA, he never really blew me off the page. Like I kind of left feeling underwhelmed every time I watched him. And I also don't really buy the handle. So to me, he feels to me more so like a Precious Achua, Zeke
Oof,
Nnaji type of
pass.
guy.
Yeah.
And
That's why Lou
that's-
likes him.
Yeah.
And that's why Lou was banging the table for him.
but I will say the athleticism is legitimately like he is a great athlete. He is a great offensive rebounder. And he did look a lot better in the U19 stuff because I went back to watch Trey Johnson as a passer there. But Asa was popping off the page to me defensively. So I think it's about how much you value the defense, but I don't feel like the other thing is too, like I'm trying to understand biomechanics more, right? And he does not have a fives body. Like he's almost built like Michael Porter Jr., very narrow. He has a narrow chest. He has he's not a thick frame. And so I don't know if he could be a five.
Bird chest.
If he's not a five, you got to play him with a five. Like if it's Kalel and Asa, okay. If it's Kalel, Bam, and Asa, like Antonio's point, I don't know. I don't really like. So I think he's very situation dependent. I think he could pop in the right situation. I think he could be like return less than first round value in the wrong situation. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
I agree. No, I'm with you, David, on Asa, especially for the Heat. I think, especially with how they're valuing, it seems they're valuing Ware and Jovic, like and
Right.
Bam. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I think you're stunting some of their growth, no matter what, by not being having those guys. Clearly, Spo doesn't want to play those three of those guys together as is, and adding another guy to the fold that has question marks. I don't think is the best idea and usage of this selection. I personally say no as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. I was just going to answer Born Croy real quick and I don't mean to take it off the
Go for it.
trajectory.
No, please.
But he had asked about Porzingis, and I just want to touch on that real quick. Good 1 year rental. Terrence Mann was really bad for us. The first initial games, he's also a long-term contract, so we're going to be paying him $15 million a year for the next 3 years. Niang was really big for us as a shooter, but you get some of that back with Porzingis. The Hawks had a backup big issue. In my opinion, they'll now take that 13 pick. They'll either get CMB or Swerber or swing on a wing, and then you use that second-round pick to get another big to try and develop. So I think it worked out pretty well for us. I think Porzingis is a terrifying player in terms of like what he looks like at his peak is crazy. What he looked like in the playoffs from March on, actually, when he was sick, that was rough. Like it was really rough. So depends which version we get. But I think with the fact that we're able to get off Terrence Mann, but this is also why you don't trade guys like Bogdan Bogdanovic at the trade deadline and have to attach draft capital and get back a worse player that's on a worse deal. Because now you have to attach that first to get off of Mann again. So now we're out 3 seconds and a first and Bogdan Bogdanovic for Terrence Mann. So I don't know. Some asset stuff I don't like, but I think Porzingis is a player like we've never had a player like that. The last guy we had like this was Dwayne Dedman. Like y'all are familiar with him.
Yeah.
And like that was the last stretch big we had. So
hey, we don't talk bad about the mechanic here. All right, so let's bring it back to the Miami Heat real quick, and let's go ahead and make this pick, and let's start from the bottom and work our way up because I'm curious who everyone would select if they were on the clock here at 15. So Antonio, if you don't mind going first. With the 20th pick, for the Miami Heat, who would you select?
I'm going Hugo Gonzalez.
Hugo Gonzalez. Okay. David, who would you take for the Heat at 20 with the way the board is stacked right now?
I would go with Duthiero.
Oh, interesting. We didn't even really get too much into him. Okay.
Lou would rather talk about Joan Behringer.
Ew.
Seriously. Franky.
Don't ever disrespect me with Joan Behringer.
Franky, what do you think Pat Riley is gonna? Once we shake him awake and say, "Come on, we're on the clock." What do you think he's gonna do here?
I think they're taking Walter Clayton.
Oh fuck! I know you're right too. That's
I didn't want to.
I'm listen. I understand it, and it's 10 times better than Liam McNeely. So that's
dude.
That's the win. That's the win.
If I had to pick between offing myself and just breaking a leg, I'll break the leg every time.
Exactly.
Lou, so are you agreeing with Frankie then? That's where you think
I
going
think
if the board falls like this.
Yeah, I think if the board falls like this, most likely, I think it's going to be either him or Will Riley. If it was me personally, it would be between Hugo and Ace and Newell.
I think Nick needs more consideration as well.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
But again, it's just we are so tired of the floor raiser. But Neek is a one-off exception. So
Yeah, I think Nick like easily super like jumps Jaime in the pecking order, and probably Nico with what Nico's shown so far.
And I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind Neek here just because of the way that the board fell. I'm not saying that he's the ideal pick for me. But again, the way this board fell, it's pretty obvious. There's two names that I want, Sorber and Jace. I don't think either of them are going to be there. So the way this fell out, I think the pick would be Walter Clayton Jr. Who would I take? I take Danny Wolf. Fuck all of you. The number one player on the board, Danny Wolf, the most exciting player in this draft. What? All right. So with that, I want to thank our guests, but thank you all for tuning in. And don't forget that tomorrow we will be doing a live draft episode. We're going to do it just like we did last year. We'll be coming on as soon as the lottery is over. We'll recap the lottery and take you up to the Miami Heat pick and see who they select on behalf of, I don't know,
the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. But Antonio, Diaz, David Lee, I would love for you guys to plug where everybody can find you and keep up with your work. Antonio, please let everybody know where they can get your hoops knowledge on all the international guys.
Yeah, you can follow me on X and Blue Sky. The name is right there on the screen. And follow me on Eurohoops Scouting. We do a lot of work trying to shed knowledge on the European prospects. So follow that as well.
Yep. And
David, where can we find you?
You can follow me, Deli43, pretty much every platform as well. Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok are my main ones.
And your podcast?
Oh, yeah. The podcast is ATL Hawks Film Room on all podcast platforms.
Perfect. Make sure you guys give them both a follow. Keep up with all of their tweets and all of their information. They're doing just as good a job as anybody else, keeping you ready for the draft tomorrow. Lou, Frankie, we are 24 hours away from our nightmare. Thank you to our special guest, Frankie. Why don't you go ahead and close us out? Any parting words, please?
Jace Richardson.